Okay, good morning, everybody. Welcome to the May 27, 2020 Tourist Development Council meeting. At this time, if we could please rise, invocation and pledge.
O merciful Creator, your hand is open wide to satisfy the needs of every living creature. Make us thankful for your loving providence and grant that we, remembering the account that we must one day give, may be faithful stewards of your good gifts. Amen.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
The Honorable Chopper Davis.
I saw him there a second. Right, start over.
Looks like he dropped off.
That's right. Start over.
Okay. The Honorable Chopper Davis.
Yeah, keep moving.
Okay. Mike Kidd.
Here.
Judy Sutton.
I know she's there. Todd, you're unmuted.
She doesn't have audio, sir. She's waving as she's here, but she's not connected to audio for some reason.
Robert Riley.
You can hear me?
Yes.
Thank you.
Wendy Longman.
I heard her. She's there.
Wendy, you have to unmute yourself.
Present.
There
Here.
you go.
Thank you. Greg Lenners.
Here.
Mike Bishop.
I'm here.
Chairman Mike Moore.
Here. All right, guys, we have a quorum, which is excellent. Hey, just a couple things, a couple quick reminders. I'm going to pass it over to Elizabeth Blair in a second. Is we need to keep obviously our microphones muted. If you'd like to speak, unmute your microphone. If you would like, also the easy way to do things that if we're looking for somebody wants to say something during the process today, if you put your hand up, I'll be watching you on video. If you do not have video, just wait for a pause and just state your name, and I'll call on you. When it comes to making a motion, you need to state your name when you make the motion. So, i.e., Mike Moore makes the motion, and if you second the motion, Mike Moore seconds the motion. Then it will go to a roll call vote by the clerk. Okay. So Elizabeth, if you're there, if you could read the procedures for today's meeting, I'd appreciate it.
Good morning. This is Elizabeth Blair at the Pasco County Attorney's Office. On March 20th, 2020, Governor DeSantis issued Executive Order 20-69, which has been extended by Executive Order 20-114, which suspended any Florida statute that requires a quorum to be present in person or requires a local government entity to meet in a specific public place. The order allowed the Tourism Development Council to meet virtually utilizing communications media technology. A detailed advertisement was run in the Tampa Bay Times, including the council's intent to conduct a virtual meeting. Even with Executive Order 20-112, the governor's safe, smart, step-by-step order, large gathering of over 10 people are not permitted to congregate in any public space that does not readily allow for appropriate social distancing. Based on this, the conduct of a regular meeting would certainly not meet the spirit or intent of the order. The process has been established by the use of technology to proceed in a manner so that the meeting is like an in-person meeting as much as possible. The public is being afforded an opportunity to make public comments, either in writing or by the use of the communication technology that has been provided. The Pasco County Board of Commissioners adopted Resolution 20-118 on April 21st, 2020, establishing the procedural rules for virtual meetings, such as the one being held today. As with any meeting that you take action, you're required to take public comment on any proposition before the council pursuant to Section 286.0114 Florida Stats. I am available for any questions.
Thank you, Ms. Blair. So with that, do we have anyone that signed up for public comment today?
No, sir, we don't have anyone at this time.
Okay, so with that, oh, actually, before we keep moving, Ms. Blair, we did have a change in the makeup of, or the council. Can you?
Correct.
I apologize that I know it's hard to do this, but if somebody can make a mic that's shuffling all the papers around, that'd be great. So Ms. Blair, if you could go over what took place at the county commission meeting and what the makeup of this council will be moving forward.
Certainly. The last Board of County Commissioners meeting, there was a discussion regarding the composition of the TDC membership. Camille Hernandez, Mayor Hernandez, is not with us today as her term has expired. During that last board meeting, it was discussed that the city of Dade City has had a seat on this council since 1990, and the desire to invite our second largest municipality, Zephyr Hills, to take a seat on the board came up. They did decide to go forward with a switch in composition, and Zephyr Hills has been invited to send one of their council members to be joining us here on the TDC, effective after their next meeting, which I believe is not until June. So any questions from anyone regarding that?
Seeing none, we'll move on. But thank you, Ms. Blair. We want to thank
Welcome.
Mayor Hernandez for her service for all the years. She's obviously been very, very involved and was a huge asset to us. Again, the county commission had that discussion that the same city had been on this council since, like Ms. Blair stated, 1990. And Zephyr Hills is actually the second largest city in the county now. There's a good chance, actually, they might be the largest city after the census is taken, and with all the growth going on in that area. So again, it was brought up by some commissioners to go ahead and make a motion to invite Zephyr Hills because they have not been on for 30 years or so. So that's what it'll be going forward. And again, we thank Dade City and we thank Ms. Hernandez, or Mayor Hernandez, for all her extraordinary service throughout the years. Okay. With that, we will move on and approval of minutes. That'll be for the February 19th TDC meeting. If I could have a motion.
Mike Bishop makes a motion.
I have a motion by Mike Bishop. I need a second.
Greg Leonard makes a second.
I have a second by Mr. Lenners. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
The Honorable Chopper Davis. Mike Kim.
Here.
Just say aye, Mike.
Judy Sutton. Judy Sutton.
Here.
No, hold on. Time out real quick. This is a motion, so we'll need an aye or a nay from everybody. So we got to start over. It's proper. So if we can, Madam Clerk, it's either aye or nay.
Yeah. The Honorable Chopper Davis. Mike Kim.
Aye.
Judy Sutton.
Aye.
Robert Riley.
Aye.
Wendy Longman.
Aye.
Greg Leonard.
I made the motion, but aye.
Mike Bishop.
Aye.
And Chairman Mike Moore.
Aye, motion passes. Thank you. And just going over procedures again, I know this is a little different for everybody. So this is what we call a roll call vote. Happens a lot during our county commission meetings. So even though you make a motion or second the motion, we have to go through the entire roll again. And even if you, again, make the motion or second it, we have to get an aye or a nay from that person too. So new things, right? New things. All right, great. Well, thank you for all of that. We're going to move on to D, presentations and funding requests. So I'm going to pass it on to the TDC team that looks very comfortable today in the county chairs. So,
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. So this is Consuelo Sanchez, and we're going to start with item D11, New Economic Impact and Visitor Tracking Report Agreement. So Down in Saint Germain has been our consultant for the visitor profile and economic impact study for Pasco County tourism since 2018. So for the last 2 years, we set up the agreement to be run throughout a calendar year, January through December. The last agreement expired in April 1st, 2020 for services as of December 31st, 2019. The DMO determined that it is important to align the service to the calendar year, to the fiscal year, which starts October 1st through September 30th. So we're renewing the agreement with Down and Saint Germain, and considering that the first quarter of the fiscal year 2020, starting October 1st through December 31st, 2019, was already covered in last year's agreement, we would like to request your approval to move forward with the new agreement, which is going to start January 1st, 2020, through September 30th, 2020, in an amount of $36,000 for the first year, and then we're going to renew for $48,000 every year for 1 year term. Any questions?
Any questions from the board? Or the council, I should say. Any questions? Oh, wait, I'll pause for a second. I see no questions. So I will entertain a motion.
Mike Bishop makes a motion.
Robert really second.
I have a motion and a second. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
The Honorable Chopper Davis. Mike Kidd.
Aye.
Judy Sutton.
Aye.
Robert Riley.
Aye.
Wendy Longman.
Aye.
Greg Leonard.
Aye.
Mike Bishop.
Aye.
Chairman Mike Moore.
Aye, motion passes. Thank you all so very much. D12, group meeting incentive program update. So we need a motion on this next one or no? Will there be a motion on this, or is this just an update?
Yes, you need a motion because it is a policy change for this program.
All right, take it away. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The group meeting incentive program was initiated by the DMO back in 2019 that providing funding assistance based on generated room nights per the policy that's in place now. The grant program actually provides a $5 rebate per actualized room night generated per new group meetings. And there's the verbiage we would like to change and request to change new group meetings for just a strike through just for new meetings or I'm sorry, not new meetings, just for meetings moving forward. Due to the pandemic of COVID-19, we have lost events. So we would like to request a policy change for reoccurring events. We have an event that is coming up that Anthony's kind of going to talk about in a little bit. It's the International Wine and Spirit event at Saddlebrook. Our investment is up to $3,000 for the policy, but it's for the next 6 years. They want to bring that back. Per our policy that's currently in place right now, we wouldn't be able to do the event past year one. So we are requesting the policy change for the incentive program for group meetings.
Thank you, Adam. Any questions from the council? Any questions from the council at all? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion.
Greg Leonard makes a motion.
I have a motion by Mr.
Kidd
Leonard.
seconds.
And I'm sorry, who made that second one?
Kidd seconds.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Kidd. Mr. Kidd makes the second. Madam Clerk, call the roll.
The Honorable Chopper Davis. Mike Kidd.
Aye.
Judy Sutton.
Aye.
Robert Riley.
Aye.
Wendy Longman.
Aye.
Greg Leonard.
Aye.
Mike Bishop.
Aye. Sorry.
It's okay. Chairman Mike Moore.
Aye, motion passes. Thank you. Moving on to fund request.
Thank you, sir. So our first funding request is actually a funding increase request. At the last TDC meeting, we presented the American Junior Golf Association, AJA, funding request, which was approved by the Tourist Development Council in an amount of $3,400. The event had to be postponed amid COVID-19. However, they secured Saddlebrook for the month in September, and they're projecting double of the attendance, meaning that instead of hosting 78 professional junior players, they're gonna be bringing over 150 players. With that said, the room night generation is expecting to double as well, and we are requesting a funding decrease based on the economic impact projections from the Destination International Event Impact Calculator for up to $5,500. Any questions?
Questions? None? Well, that's great to hear that. So, obviously with everything going on, it's going to double. So congratulations, everybody, for that. Nobody else has any more comments? I'll entertain a motion.
Wendy Longman, motion.
I have a motion by Captain Wendy Longman. Yes.
Mike Bishop, second.
Mr. Bishop seconds. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
The Honorable Chopper Davis,
Agree.
Mike Kidd,
Aye.
Judy Sutton,
Aye.
Robert Riley,
Aye.
Wendy Longman,
Aye.
Greg Leonard,
Aye.
Mike Bishop,
Aye.
Chairman Mike Moore.
Aye, motion passes. Thank you. Next item, NACBA International Championships. Well,
Thank you, sir. So we're very proud and happy and excited to let you know that we got approved to be the host community for the 2021 North American Chinese Basketball Association. So basically, we started conversations with NACBA, that's the acronym, back in 2018 while attending the Relationship Conference. And since then, we have been in negotiations with Rad Sports. And we initially planned to be hosting the 2020 championships. However, we had to push it back 1 year. We sent a proposal to NACBA back in February 2020, and it was approved by the executive board, and they awarded our destination. NACBA is an event that has been hosted every single year since 1981. They have been hosting the event in different premier destinations throughout the states, such as Chicago, Dallas, Fort Lauderdale. And I contacted myself some of these sports commissions to make sure that it is a trustworthy organization and it's a good event. And I received nothing but great comments about both the organization and the event. NACBA has over 1,000 members, and they're projecting that they're gonna be able to bring between 600 to 800 members plus families. The event takes place during Memorial Weekend. So not only is this a Chinese community gathering for all of them, and they're gonna be hosting the banquet. So it is really like a really good opportunity for them to meet with people from China who lives in Canada, US, and Mexico. Our commitment is providing $10,000 in order to offset the cost of the rental fee. Any questions?
questions? Any questions?
Judy Sutton.
Go ahead, Ms. Sutton.
Thank you. I don't think I heard where the event was taking place.
The event is taking place Memorial Day weekend in 2021. That's gonna be May 29th through May 31st next year at the Wiregrass Ranch Sports Campus.
That was it. Okay, the ranch. Okay, got it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Mike Kidd.
Go ahead, Mr. Kidd.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Consuelo, I just had a question on the rental fee. Is that just a standard fee for everyone, like rack right off the street, or do we get a discount, or how does that fee work? Just curious.
So they have set up rental fees per hour per court, or we can rent the full facility whole day. Actually, $10,000 is not the total rental fee. It's about $12,000, and I think a little bit more, including taxes, but we're just gonna help offset the cost of that. So basically, if you want an event, we need to connect you with Drag Sports, and they can provide you with a quote depending on the amount of days, the amount of hours, and the kind of amenities that you want to use. In this case, we're going to be using 8 courts, which is the maximum amount. We're going to be using some meeting rooms, and we're going to be using the mezzanine as well. And not only are we going to be hosting there the championships, but we're going to be able to accommodate the annual banquet that they host every year to celebrate the Chinese gathering.
Thanks, Consuelo. Great job. That's awesome.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thanks, Mr. Kidd. Anything else? Any other questions or comments from the council? Okay, I will entertain a motion at this time.
Mike Kidd, motion.
Okay, I have a motion by Mr. Kidd. Did I hear a second by Captain Longman?
Second. Wendy Longman, second.
I have a second by Captain Wendy Longman. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
The Honorable Chopper Davis,
Yes.
Mike Kidd,
Aye.
Judy Sutton,
Aye.
Robert Riley,
Aye.
Wendy Longman,
Aye.
Greg Leonard,
Aye.
Mike Bishop,
Aye.
Chairman Mike Moore.
Aye, motion passes. Thank you. Moving on, tours too hot for ice funding requirements. Take it away, Consuelo.
Thank you, sir. So this is exciting news for everyone because, as you might be already aware, Tours Too Hot for Ice is our largest event every year. They were about to cancel the event a couple weeks ago, but last week we talked again, and they got to negotiate with the ice rink, with Gordy Zimmerman, and although they're not going to be hosting the event June 29 through July 8, they push it back a couple days, and they secured the ice rink starting July 2nd through July 11. They really want to host the event, although they know that they're not going to have any international presence, but still they made some market research. They have been in contact with several teams, several coaches throughout the nation, and they have seen that there's a lot of interest to resume the roller hockey national championships. Therefore, they're gonna come, they're gonna invest, they're gonna do everything they can do in order to keep the event here, which is great for us and for our hoteliers. Yesterday, I had a conference call with the new Housing Bureau, which is Team Travel Source, and I connected them immediately with every single of our partners' hotels for Too Hot for Ice, because we're gonna need to adjust the agreements not only for the right dates, July 2nd through July 11, but also we need to adjust the number of room nights. At this moment, it is unknown the amount of teams that they're gonna be able to bring, but we're gonna need to make an amendment if the TDC approves this in order to change one of the funding requirements of the agreement. Since this is a multi-year agreement with Too Hot for Ice, the way that we set up the agreement was that Tours Too Hot for Ice could get $25,000 to offset the cost of the ice rink, contingent upon Tours generating at least 90% of the room nights that the event produced back in 2018. That would be 90% of 1,700 room nights. We want to propose, and in order to show our good partnership with them, especially because they're risking tens of thousands of dollars in order to bring the tournament back now in July, that we want to provide the $25,000 regardless of the amount of room night generation. We know for a fact that they're not going to risk thousands and thousands of dollars because just the ice rink rental fee is almost $50,000. So even if we provide $25,000, if they don't bring the minimum amount of teams to break even, they're going to lose a lot of money. So I think it's only fair that we support not only the event, but also our hotels, because they're going to be seeing some pickup in room night generation in July. So basically, we're requesting your approval in order to remove the 90% clause from the agreement. If it is approved by the Tourist Development Council, we're going to work with Elizabeth and the County Attorney's Office in order to present this request to the Board of County Commissioners as soon as possible. Thank you.
Thank you. Do I have any questions or comments from the council?
Mike Kidd.
Mr. Kidd, go ahead, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Consuelo, just to remind me, I just want to make sure, it's been a while since I've seen this one, and I get what you're saying, and I agree. It is ironclad, though, that every room night produced would be Pasco County. Can you just remind me how we're sure of that, and that would be without fail in Pasco only, that not $1 of Hillsborough, nothing personal against them or any other county, would be counted?
Yes, sir. I'm working directly myself with the Housing Bureau. So they're just working with those hotels that I'm connecting them with. Like yesterday, you probably, if you check your email, you're going to see that email because I connected you with the new Housing Bureau. And they have specific instructions from Thor's to Hot for Ice and from me about not working with one of the hotels that were not included in my list. So just the hotels that got my email yesterday are going to be able to work with this event. And I'm not recommending any Hillsborough County hotels.
It keeps buffering my house.
Thank you.
Sometimes they can hear me, sometimes they can't.
Okay. Any other questions or comments from the council?
So I just want
I have a question, Robert Reilly.
Go ahead, Robert. Sorry.
Is this a blanket change, or is this specifically just for the Too Hot for Ice event?
It's just for the Too Hot for Ice event.
Okay, understood. Thank you.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Reilly. Any other questions or comments?
I have Judy Sutton, one last question.
Go ahead, please.
Well,
I just want to make sure if for some reason the event does not take place with the $25,000 that we put into this, is it coming back to us if for some reason this event does not happen?
This is WebEx.
That is actually a really good question, Jody.
Oh, no.
Exactly. So we're not going to pay anything in advance. So towards Too Hot for Ice, they're going to be reimbursed after the event, meaning that if the event doesn't take place, we're not going to be able to reimburse anything.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Any other questions or comments? Okay, with that, I will entertain a motion.
Greg Leonard makes a motion.
Motion by Mr. Leonard.
Mike Bishop, second.
A second by Mr. Bishop. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
The Honorable Chopper Davis. Mike Kidd.
Aye.
Judy Sutton.
Aye.
Robert Reilly.
Aye.
Wendy Longman.
Aye.
Greg Leonard.
Aye.
Mike Bishop.
Aye.
Chairman Mike Moore.
Aye, motion passes. Thanks so much, everybody. Moving on. This isn't going to be a fun one, I don't think, but sports development update. Talk a little bit about the postponed and rescheduled and canceled events. Go ahead. I think, Adam, are you taking this one?
No, sir, that would be Ms. Consuelo.
Oh, Consuelo, okay.
Thank you. I included in the agenda package the list of events that have been definitely canceled for 2020. We have the AAU Florida West Coast Karate Championships Savage Race and Savage Blitz, USA Hockey Adult Men's National Championship and Women's National Championships, Florida Premier Football Club Spring Showcase, and Sunshine State Games Figure Skating Championships. All of them have been definitely canceled for this year. Savage Race is coming back in, I think, late October or November, but not because they're rescheduling the spring event. It's just because they usually host 2 annual events in Pasco County. But on the other side, we were able to reschedule some of the events, such as Gran Fondo. They're going to come back in October. Caliente, they're coming back in October as well. The American Junior Golf Association, they're coming back in September, as we mentioned before. Sunshine State Games Ice Hockey Championships, they're in conversations with Canada organizations because they basically are considering merging 2 big events. One, the Sunshine State Games, with the Sunshine Cup that were supposed to be hosted at the ice rink in July. So they're considering merging 2 events. And Too Hot for Ice. It is important to mention that the events that are listed there are only the events that we fund directly. We have additional events that were canceled that we usually fund through the funding agreement with the ice rink. However, we haven't gotten the report yet. But once we receive that report, we're going to be able to share a bigger picture of the economic loss that we got due to COVID-19. Moving along, we were supposed to host the International Association of Golf Tour Operators, the North American Convention, in June 2021. This is an international event where they gather people from all over the world. Due to travel restrictions, they made the really hard decision to cancel this year's event, which was supposed to take place in Reno, Nevada. Therefore, since they have a really good partnership and Reno, Nevada had been working really hard to host this event, they decided that they're gonna bring the event back to Reno in 2021. So the event that we were supposed to host in 2021 at Saddlebrook Resort has been canceled, but we still have the choice to bid again to host the event in 2022. So Too Hot for Ice, I already mentioned that we're working with the new Housing Bureau to secure rooms. And Sunshine State Games, they're probably going to be merging with the Sunshine Cup. And that's the sports update. Thank you.
Thank you, Consuela. Any questions or comments from the council? Any questions or comments from the council? Okay, seeing none, we are moving on to industry relations report.
Good morning, Gabby Logenes. Can you hear me? Yeah, it's on. Gabby Logenes with the Industry Relations and Advocacy Update. The DMO has been in continuous communication with the industry partners, either via email or phone calls, to show our support and understanding during the difficult times that we went through. And as of today, the DMO has hosted 2 virtual stakeholder webinars updates. On April 2nd, we hosted our first virtual industry stakeholders meeting to provide the industry partners with updates from the shelter-at-home order from the governor. Our partners were also informed of other updates, such as closure in Pasco County, parks and government buildings, and our office hours and locations. The team was working remotely back then. Our DMO director, Adam Thomas, provided an update on the STR report, as well as the sporting events cancellations and postponements economic impact report. The DMO also presented the new section of the FloridaSportsCodes.com website with COVID-19 related resources, which included safety guidelines from the CDC and some federal economic assistance programs available for businesses. Back on May 14th of 2020, we hosted a second virtual industry stakeholders meeting where Jan Carlisle from Visit Florida spoke about the recovery efforts from a state perspective, Dawson St. Germain shared the emerging travel trends and projections for summer and fall and travel in 2021. And we also shared with our industry partners the recovery marketing plan. As far as the Visit Florida presentation, Jen Carlisle gave an excellent overview of Visit Florida's response to COVID-19 and the next steps in the recovery marketing plans as a state, which included 4 marketing phases, taking into consideration the governor's reopening plan and only represented how we will attract visitors when the time is appropriate. Also, the marketing phase 4 is expanding the efforts globally to ensure that Florida remains top as a top destination for travel, and they will aggressively promote attracting visitors from countries such as Canada, the UK, and Latin America. Colby will be discussing further the recovery, the marketing recovery plan. Any questions?
Any questions? Any questions? Seeing none, we're moving on. We will go to tourism sales report, correct?
Yes, sir. Tourism sales report, and Anthony Stinsman, our tourism sales manager, will be providing our report for G1 and G2.
All right. Good morning. Oops. Sorry, unmute. Good morning, everyone. I'm Anthony Stinsman. Just wanted to provide you guys with an update on tourism. And so given the absence of a prior meeting, one of the updates consisted of some of our travel opportunities and conventions that we attended. Going back to February 18th through 21st, I attended the Connect Marketplace Business Travel segment in collaboration with the district sales manager at the Hyatt Place in Wesley Chapel. Colby also attended and went to different breakout sessions. Thereafter, headed off to Atlanta end of February until early March for a consumer travel show, the Travel Adventure Show. And just in the nick of time to get back in a safe way, I attended a travel adventure show in DC the week of March 6th through 9th. Generated a lot of leads, good traction, gained some great insights. So that's really, in a nutshell, what happened up until April. And then now talking about getting into the nitty gritty about business that's actualized and rescheduled, or that hasn't actualized, I should say. And that has rescheduled. So we're fortunate in that the group meetings that I was working on, none of which have actually fully canceled. We are losing out on 2020 revenue from them. So starting with Wellbuilt, one of the larger companies here headquartered in Pasco County, been in conversations with them for a little bit of time. Over the past 13 years, they have historically, despite being headquartered in our county, hosted their events in Pinellas County. And bust folks into their headquarters here in Pasco County. So we're able to persuade them and provide them with a good overview of the new inventory of hotels and accommodations here in our county, and sway them to actually host their training sessions and move their quarterly training meetings here to Pasco. So they were in the middle of scheduling and I guess booking at the Hilton Garden Inn Suncoast. And unfortunately, their first meeting that they were going to be hosting here in our county was on March 24th. So as a result, they've pushed those back. Company initiatives have dictated that they won't be doing any travel or extending any travel or having any meetings in 2020. So we are still in conversations. They fully plan to reschedule their first 2 quarterly meetings for Q2 and Q3, it looks like, as of now in 2021. The other conference that I was working on was with the Southern Organization of Human Services. And one of the professors from the Pasco Hernando State College is actually vice president of that organization, and was going to bring a group of roughly 150 individuals from 11 different states in the Southeast for a 4-day conference. So we were in the process of confirming everything, setting them up again, a late March event. Last minute reschedule. They are in the process of rebooking, and it looks like we're shooting for, again, Q2 of 2021 at present. One good thing that came from this, though, is that given the limited travel opportunities for the individuals that we're going to be attending from 11 other states, they are actually considering hosting in Q1 of 2021 a localized version of, so for the Florida Organization of Human Services. So much smaller group, but bringing in roughly 50 people from around the state of Florida. Dates to be determined, but we're in ongoing chats and feel really good about their rescheduling. So good news, bad news. Good news continues. So working on a lot of other things for 2020. Like that's going to be a really promising time. Saddlebrook in particular. One of the events that Adam was referring to earlier that could benefit from our groups meeting incentive program is a group called ITS, International Talent Show. They recently secured a 2021 event, which would bring in roughly 150 people for 8 nights. And good thing is it happens in the middle of July. So, great for the hotel industry. Looking at 1,200 total room nights, more or less. They had secured 2021 for a first-time event, and we had extended our meetings incentives program. So now, given what's transpired with COVID and so forth, they really feel that they have a good idea that they want to stay within the Saddlebrook area, and they are looking to book out through 2026. One of the contingencies was, can we extend further funding for them to host their events through 2026? So it would essentially be 6 years commitment from them to host that at Saddlebrook. Still with Saddlebrook, I'm working on a Duisha Family Wine and Spirits event, which is a first-time event, generating roughly 525 total room nights. And they're scheduled for October of 2020. So that is something, a little glimmer of hope for this year. We did extend our groups meeting incentive program to them, given that they were a first-time event. So they were we're competing with other South Florida resorts, given that we fared better on the health front. They felt very comfortable in securing that, so they'll be in Saddlebrook. And then lastly, as far as events that we're working on or groups that we're working on, the FAC, or the Florida Association of Counties, is currently seeking a host destination for a 2021 conference in innovation and technology sectors. Had to pick Mike Bishop's brain a little bit, so thank you for that, because part of our response in trying to engage them was to include a full day of activities and field trips and companies that really represent excellence in our area that we could show them. So this should bring in roughly 425 total room nights if we're awarded. We'll know more by September of this year as to who they're going to be awarding the host county status to, but feel really good, put together a great response to their RFP. So in a nutshell, those are the groups that I've been working with, covering most of them, as you can see, are scheduled for 2021. In addition to that, I've been working heavily on responding to a lot of the golf leads that have been generated through IACTO and Consuelo's contacts. Some of the corporate leads that I had secured at prior conventions, particularly Connect. And then part of the economic recovery plan, and I'll let Colby speak to that a little bit more, but one of the pieces that I kind of grabbed onto was there are 3 specific campaigns that we were looking at. One of them was referred to as a voucher program. So if any of you guys are familiar with Groupon, it was very similar to that model in that people prepay for a later stay at a hotel or a later, endeavor at an attraction or at a restaurant for that matter. The thought was that would provide an influx of capital to businesses right off the bat, since individuals were prepaying. Once a voucher was sold, the businesses could redeem the funds that were generated from the sale of that voucher 7 days after the actual sale, and then new customers would start coming in thereafter. So we've hit a few roadblocks. The company that organizes this is called My Area Network. They're a marketing company out of Tampa. We have not quite been able to make that work, but we are working on variations of that we might market internally ourselves. Working on something that was inspired by a company called Bounce Back Tours, which is essentially just packaging. So creating an itinerary for a customer to come visit our destination, let's say a two-night, 3-day getaway that would include a golf outing, a restaurant, and hotel accommodation. So we're looking at packaging things. I'm sure Colby will mention it, but we're working with Zimmerman on adding that to our website profile and also distributing it via email. for the benefit of our partners that engage in these. And then lastly, I think this is a really promising one. I was on a webinar recently, and the host was Tempest, which is an integrated tourism marketing company that's pretty big in our industry. And they just launched a program called Rediscover America. So super interested in it. And the whole goal is that they highlight one destination, a lesser known destination typically, and usually focused within a geographical region that makes it easy and focuses on a drive market. So we are in the process of submitting our information over to them, hope to have that done by next week. And then I'll know a little bit more as to when we're going to be highlighted and spotlighted on their sites. Everything they do through social media has the hashtag Rediscover America. And it's really cool and engaging. So hopefully by the next meeting, I'll be able to report more on that. And in a nutshell, that was it for me. So unless there are any questions, I'm happy to pass it over to Colby for our media report.
Any questions? Any questions at all? Okay, we'll move on. Colby. Media reports. Uh-oh.
All right.
Can you hear me okay?
Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I lost you for a second. Okay. Colby, go ahead.
Good morning, everybody. Colby Gason. I am excited to start out, not excited to start out a little ominous, but I promise the plan I am going to be presenting to you today, I strongly feel has a bright future ahead for Florida Sports Coast. So I'm really excited to present this to everybody. So all marketing efforts for Florida Sports Coast were paused as of March 12th as the full impact of COVID-19 started to unfold in the U.S. This included the halt of all of our print advertising, digital banners, SEM, basically anything that we had live that was running, it was stopped. This left us with the only visual form of marketing was through our social media networks. And I'm going to dive a little bit more into that right now. So what you're looking at right now is we really, like most people, we took advantage of virtual tourism. Having Chris on our team, we didn't know really the impact he was going to serve us 4 months ago when we hired him, but he really hit the ground running, heading out with our drone, using this really cool video program to where we can have our logo on all videos, really capturing wide, beautiful looks of our destination. So those people who are staying at home, who are probably tired of looking at four walls, they could come to us on social, and they could really experience Florida Sports Coast virtually. Part of this was also Identity Tampa Bay, who we already had a working contract with. Their Jeff Phoenix Media Group, we had already fulfilled 2 of the 3 videos within that contract and had just shot a camping video that we had done with them back in February. Due to COVID-19, we were going to originally launch that video in March, and we've held that for the fall, which I'll talk about how that plays into our recovery plan a little later. But what they did was for us is that they actually took it upon themselves, capitalizing on virtual tourism, and released kind of a hodgepodge of the camping video to give more of a virtual tour of Florida Sports Coast. It was widely received. It was sent to nearly 9,000 people. It had an open rate of 18.6%, which is astronomical. And they also had a click-through rate of 1.2, which that shows us that people in Tampa Bay want to know more about Florida Sports Coast, especially during the pandemic. So we'll plan to hit them later on. So for the recovery plan, this is where I'm going to kind of take you through our 3 plan. I know it says 2 in the packet, but that may have been done before we had really completed the plan with Zimmerman. But it's a 3-phase plan, similar to that of Visit Florida, that I'll be walking you through right now. So one thing that we're really using is research. Research is paramount as we continue to unfold this plan. So Downtown St. Germain, during our virtual industry stakeholders meeting, they really gave us some good insight. People right now are not looking to travel further than 100 miles from their front door. That means, unlike what we would typically be doing at any other time, we're really going to be focusing on drive market and really kind of more localizing that as well. We also
plan to prominently have a health and safety plan on our website because people really want to know that before they leave, that where they're going is taking the proper steps to make sure that they're going to have fun, but they're also going to be healthy and safe as they do it. So we're working on a couple of different ideas to make sure that is going to be prominently on our website and that we can ensure that in our visitors. So our 3-phase marketing plan. Phase 1 is actually live right now. It launched on March 15th. That's our scalloping fam. So we are really thrilled that we are able to continue to offer this season. The season is July 17th through 26th, and we are actively marketing it, taking advantage of direct-to-consumer marketing tactics. So what does that mean? We are all digital. We have emails that are going to be going out through Florida Sportsman. We have also, during this downtime, if you will, it hasn't really been so because we've really been taking advantage of, while all of our media has been halted, really developing other owned media opportunities that we can have as resources moving forward. That includes an automated email system that we are putting in place that Zimmerman has helped us with, to where when people are interacting with our website, let's say they're spending a lot of time on our scalloping page, we can send them an automated email delivering them a specific laid out itinerary, if you will, of how to have the perfect scalloping vacation on Florida Sports Coast. Moving forward, utilizing owned and earned media. So earned media being PR exposure, owned media being our social media networks, our website are really going to be vital to helping us capitalize as we work to recover our resources. So who are we going to be targeting? I'm going to get a little bit more into the other phases as we go through this. So we're going to be targeting families, couples, guy-girl getaways, meeting planners, and event organizers. Event organizers being sporting event organizers that Consuela is still actively working to bring back those events and recoup some of those losses. So for the recovery marketing plan, our overall objectives are to re-engage with our key target audiences that I just referenced to boost visitations and overnight stays while stimulating the overall economic impact of Florida Sports Coast. 2, use the latest data intelligence to determine efficiencies for effective delivery of market messaging. This also includes, I want to note that we are making sure that we are not targeting our advertising to places in the country or places in the state that are not on par with where we are on a reopening standard. We again want to make sure that as we start to remarket, that we're marketing to people who are willing and receptive to that messaging that we have to deliver. 3, develop and execute a targeted full funnel media approach phase to reach consumers as travel restrictions and consumer sentiment shift. And 4, drive awareness, consideration, and accommodation revenue, educating our audiences that it is safe to travel to Florida Sports Coast. So for our scallop season, one, I want to touch on real fast that our new over-encompassing campaign that's really going to see us through these next 3 phases is our hashtag Get Back to Adventure. So people have been cooped up in their houses. They haven't been able to really live life to the extent that they're used to. And through this campaign, and starting with scalloping, we really want to inspire people to get back outdoors, to get back to adventure. One of the emerging themes that we have seen consistently throughout all research is that people are going to want to go to smaller destinations. They're going to want to kind of uncover new places that they haven't been before, and they're going to want to be outside, and they're going to want to be active. So we plan on capitalizing this again through digital advertising. You can see some of the ads as well as the Google ads that we have running right now. We're utilizing Expedia and Sojourn as some of our key delivery methods for our digital ads. We should have a report coming from the first 2 weeks to see how those ads are being received this week from Sojourn. One thing we're doing is we're not waiting till the end of the month to see how well these are doing. We're doing it on a bi-weekly basis because we want to constantly be agile in our marketing. If something isn't working, if a market isn't being receptive to our ads, we want to make sure that we pivot and that we hit the markets that are. I want to also note about scalloping that we will still be having a FAM. We're working out the details, but we take it very seriously that not only do our visitors, who we had already secured 4 journalists for this, not only do they feel safe coming, but that the partners that had already aligned with us for this, they also feel safe and still participating. So we're working on making those initial calls. June is really going to be the key indicator of when some of the journalists had said that they'll kind of have a better idea on if they want to come or not. But overall, people are still willing to come, and we're still willing and able to receive them. Again, we will be putting health and safety measures into place to ensure that everybody participating is safe. Luckily for us, scalloping is something that is not only done outside, but you can also safely social distance while you do it. So phase 2 of our recovery plan is going to be expanding a little outside of that 100 miles and really fully embracing the Get Back to Adventure theme. So capitalizing on that outdoor, uncrowded destination, we're really going to be promoting our paddle sports, water activities like boating and inshore fishing, hiking and biking, camping, RV travel. People are definitely kind of taking to RVs and getting back to the American road trips. So we plan to also capitalize that on as well. And golf. I am very pleased to finally announce that we will have a golf section on our website. Stephen Martine, our photographer, was able to come over and photograph 3 golf courses for us, with one supplying their own imagery. So we'll finally be able to feature golf prominently on our website, and we have fantastic editorial shots featuring our own Robert and his sister that are really stunning and beautiful. So we'll actually be able to do competitive advertising with it as well. And then we'll really continue to expand our owned media efforts, utilizing PR strategies that align with Get Back to Adventure campaign, and then continuing to focus on value travel, as Anthony touched on, continuing to develop that package program and Florida staycations. Some other resources, I'm really thrilled I don't have it as a visual example today, but our destination guides are done at the printer. We will have them in hand on Monday, which is originally they were supposed to be delivered on Friday, so that's sooner than we had anticipated, which is going to be another fantastic resource. During COVID-19, Visit Florida had reported that their destination guide on their website was one of their most visited pages. We will also have it very prominently displayed on our own in a digital format that we plan to incorporate into our automated email messaging campaign, as well as send out hard copies to lead gens as well. We'll also do full marketing programs, push behind that, lead gens through social media, etc. And then phase 3 of the recovery is similar to phase 4 of just embracing the new normal of what life is going to be as we continue to reopen as a state, as a destination, as a country, and hopefully getting back to welcoming our Canadian visitors, our UK visitors, and moving forward. So part of the recovery effort is we have developed a sports tourism video, which I am personally really thrilled about. With sports tourism being our #1 contributor to our TDT last year, thanks to Consuelo's efforts, I wanted to make sure that she had really strong resources available to her as she gets out and starts to market us again as a sports destination. So this video is meant to evoke emotion. It's meant to showcase that we are open and that we are here and that the game is calling, the game is on Florida Sports Coast. We should have that finalized and in hand and ready to present to you by the next TDC meeting in June. These are just some photographs from that shoot. We wanted to make sure that we really focused on our key sports that she markets, that being hockey, soccer, lacrosse, volleyball, and tennis, and really utilizing our main sports venues in that as well. So Advent Health, we went to Saddlebrook, we shot at Sunwest Park, and we also used the Starkey District fields. That was done in part with JL Production. Next slide. Social media. So another emerging theme is that it's really important to use locals to support tourism. Now more than ever, it's really key to have locals embrace your destination. They are a window to outside visitors. They're constantly out exploring, engaging, and being active on Florida Sports Coast. And Chris has done a phenomenal job of engaging with local businesses, making sure that he's communicated who's open. We've had it on our website, as well as sharing content and engaging with content that aligns with our brand on social media. One thing we really wanted to do to really create this sense of pride in the destination was we wanted to create a video that highlighted the businesses that had stayed open during the pandemic. So really during March and April. And what we have, if we're able to show it, which I hope we are, is our Sports Coast Strong video. It sounds like the audio is not working. Audio is not working. So we'll make sure that everybody, if you've seen it, fantastic. If you haven't, we'll make sure you have a link to it. But we really wanted to capture really the overall sentiment we've all been feeling, you know, at the start of this. I think we've been through the full cycle of grief and then coming out on it on a positive note, looking towards the future and really embracing who we are as Florida Sports Coast, being Sports Coast strong. Chris is going to continue to deliver the hashtag Sports Coast Strong campaign through social media. He's going to create another video similar to this, as well as doing different vignettes to highlight other businesses throughout the destination and to continue that virtual tourism. As a result of this, we will have a very robust video library that we'll be able to share, and we hope everybody else does through social media. And then last but not least, I am, again, really thrilled to report that, yeah, we've all been through hard times, but we have almost never had more press than during COVID-19. So even though we were dark with our marketing, we were very much alive with public relations. A huge contributing factor to this was a lot of the return that was finally coming as a result of last year's scalloping fam was being published in March. That included a 2-page spread in Downtown Magazine, which is digitally available. Also including a feature in Nashville Lifestyle, which was from our freelancer that we hosted. Freelancers are, again, the gift that keep on giving. Just because it was published once doesn't mean she could have another feature somewhere else. So we're looking forward to future content from her. And then most notably, Oceanographic Magazine, which I have in hand, and I invite you to get in touch with us, come by the office and hold it in your hands for yourself, because it is a remarkable publication. And we have a multiple page spread with stunning photography. This is a UK.
Somebody's mic's off. Todd.
On Florida Sports Coast. Other features include Posh 7, which is a premier lifestyle magazine serving Washington, D.C., Virginia, Maryland. reaching 170 plus thousand readers. They did a nice feature for us, as well as Red Cycle in their look ahead to family vacation. Pause 7, if I do believe that was an Earth Day incorporation, and I think that's where Saddlebrook was featured, talking about their sustainable travel. So all in all, even though we went through some dark times, there was definitely some light, and I'm very optimistic and looking forward to the future. And also, I have exciting news. Just before this meeting, we were told that we won a Silver Telly Award. So that's our second Telly Award that we won for our scalloping video that we did last year for jail production. So last year was bronze, we're on to silver, and we hope to use Consuelo's video to get gold next year.
Excellent. Great report. That video is pretty extraordinary. Too bad the sound wouldn't come on. So if anybody hasn't seen it yet, I know I forwarded it out, tweeted it out, and on Facebook. It's good. Great job, everybody. Moving on with the destination report now, Adam. Correct?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for the destination report. Before we get into the doom and gloom of March and April, wanted to provide the board and council that we were on a record-setting pace for 2020 and this fiscal year. Ending February, we were at an increase of 7.5% occupancy. We've increased our ADR 2%. RevPAR was at an all-time high of 9.5%. So we were on pace to meet our projected revenue of $3.2 million. Since COVID-19 hit and the closure of our economy and the executive order has been put in place, we see that April, I'm sorry, if you go back one to March, one more, should be a March, there we go. We see that occupancy starts to take a hit. We see our occupancy at a negative 33%. ADR has taken a hit. To supplement that, our loss of occupancy at close to 16%, and RevPAR is close to 44% loss. And compare that to our comp set and what the state of Florida is doing during that same time period of March 2020. Everyone's taken a hit, especially on the meeting side of our industry. April's doesn't look too different. Actually, it gets a little bit worse. Our occupancy loses ground again at 55%, close to 56% with all three new properties that have come online at the end of 2019. ADR dropped down to 30%, dropped 30%, and 70% decrease in our RevPAR. Closing out the year-to-year comparison for April, currently we're just a little bit over 19% loss of occupancy. We're at an 8% loss of average daily rate. And then our RevPAR, our revenue per available room, is just shy of a 26% loss with all three new properties. Compare that to the state, we're still a little bit better. Rate can be a little bit better. Obviously, we've talked about that before, but we're now looking at the STAR report on a weekly basis. We have subscribed to the weekly report rather than just the monthly report. We'll still update the TDC on a monthly basis. But we are starting to see our occupancy get back to 45% on the weekends and into Monday. So there is a silver lining there that our market has stabilized. We're starting to move forward. The good news is that we can start bringing back our youth amateur sporting events to start that track of recovery that Colby was mentioning. But there is a silver lining here that we will be better. We will see better days. Next year in 2021, the demand, the consumer confidence is at an all-time high, even though that 2020 will be at an all-time low for demand. Next slide, we'll talk a little bit about the vacation rental market intelligence for March. Here's the entire market for Pasco County. instant book, entire homes, private rooms, and then shared. Nights available are still around 14,000 in total for the entire market. Our occupancy for March was on average around 25%. Next slide for April. April 2020 for the vacation rental market. Even though the executive order that the governor put in place for not allowing vacation rentals, you can see that our reporting factors are still reporting that activity has been still going on, even though the executive order is in place, which is kind of ironic because we are working with the tax collector's office. The tax receipts that did come in for March and April for the vacation rental were 0. But the activity on the reports beg to differ. So we are working collectively with the tax collector's office and trying to contact both HomeAway, VRBO, Expedia, and Airbnb to figure out a solution to this. Next slide. So we start to see our revenue dip down. In March of 2019, we generated $384,000 of tourist development tax revenues. This year, we had a loss of $148,000. It was almost a 39% loss and decrease, but year-to-year comparison, we were still up. We were still over $133,213, a 9.15% increase in year-to-year revenue growth. Moving into April, paints a different story now. We have generated in 2019, April is our largest revenue month for our destination. We generated over $430,000 in revenue. This year, we're at $93,000. So we took a 78% loss, which brings our decrease of year-to-year growth down. We are negative 204, and there should be a comment there, I apologize, $204,586,000. That's almost an 11% decrease year-to-year growth. Next slide, you can see the TDT calendar recap of monthly revenue generated. Hopefully with the events, the seasonality, our product, our offerings that we're gonna use to attract visitors back to Florida Sports Coast and Pasco County, we can start to see our revenue start to increase back. Next slide, please. Our treasurer's report, going into what we just looked over for revenue. At the start of the year, our projected revenue was around a little over $3.2 million. So working with our Office of Management and Budget and working with Shelley internally, we have a projected new number of revenue for this year, which is a little over $2.1 million. Looking at our budget, and again, what can we do to save expenditure costs in our budget this year? We have identified $135,000 in our budget this year that we are not going to spend due to travel, due to the tax collector not collecting the $3.2 million. We have basically paused a lot of our print, a lot of our travel and per diem, a lot of our promotional efforts, education and travel. So we've taken a step back in our expenditures, and the full treasurer's report is in your packet for review. Next month, we will be presenting the fiscal year 21 budget, proposed draft budget to the board for comments and review. With that being said, that is the destination report.
All right, thank you, Adam. Any questions? Any questions for Adam or the team? No questions. So you have anything else, Adam, that we missed?
No, sorry. I did want to kind of mention something real fast before we move along. I've been working with Bill Cronin and the EDC to develop a program that can start sparking consumer confidence in travel and letting not only residents here within Pasco County and the Tampa market, but also our visitors that are coming into to Pasco County and Florida Sports Coast and the Tampa market, and coming up with a program that can give that gold stamp of approval of, yes, we're healthy, we're safe, we practice safety measures when it comes to infectious disease and prevention protocols, not only for our hotels, but also for our attractions, our retail, our restaurants. And we found collectively, we started reviewing this program that is a part of the Global Biorisk Alliance Council. And we are coming up with a program that we would probably like to start having conversations with our hospitals here to see what kind of partnership we can get with either Baycare or Advent Health or Trinity Hospital or even Bayonet Point, just to start sparking that consumer confidence of getting out and reigniting the economy. We are also going to start talking with David Engel in the Office of Economic Growth for Pasco County to see how collectively, how can we develop a program that we can launch as a community, as a county. And on the marketing aspect of that, I'll put the marketing hat back on for a second. The publicity, the promotional aspect, the impressions that we would generate based off of this program can really generate earned media, not only here collectively in the Tampa market or within the state, but at a national level. So we're going to continue that conversation, and hopefully next month in June, we'll bring that program back for board review and discussion.
Excellent. That's a great idea. Thank you for that. So since you have nothing else, I wanted to bring up one thing. So last week, I wanted to thank a fellow TDC member. So last week, myself and Representative Maggart sponsored a farm share event. And Mr. Leonards and his team are gracious enough to let us host that event at the Shops of Wiregrass. Besides just hosting the events, they were extraordinary, but it came to working hard on the logistics, a lot of moving parts. And there's a short amount of time. We did this in less than 2 weeks, in 2 weeks' time, but it was a very, very successful event. We had over 50 volunteers there. I had to turn away volunteers because we had too many, but we gave out 33,000 pounds of food that day. 33,000 pounds of food. Over approximately 700 cars came through, but some of those cars had multiple families and were actually bringing food to others too. So Greg, I want to tell you, I appreciate your efforts. I know this isn't really tourism based, but at the same time, you're a member of this council, and I appreciate you and your team stepping up during this pandemic. It's greatly appreciated.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. And just an added note is somewhat related to tourism is that, here in Pasco County, we're opening up our parks to rec leagues now. So the teams are going to start going back, playing baseball, basketball, volleyball, whatever they're playing out there. What that means possibly, obviously for tourism is that it could potentially open up again, local tournaments and things that are coming to our parks. So I did want to bring that up. So with that, I tell you what, I'll just go around. If anybody has any updates further, and Madam Clerk, this would be a great help to me if just go ahead and call names as you would call roll. And if anybody has anything to add, I'll allow them to do so.
The Honorable Chopper Davis. Mike Kidd.
Nothing today. Good to see everybody, though. Thank you.
Judy Sutton. Robert Reilly. Wendy Longman.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you for allowing me to speak. First of all, I think that the department's recovery efforts are phenomenal, and I'm so excited to see your phases and moving forward. And I'm really excited about where you're going with it, how you're moving with it, and how you're just so on top of it. And I really want to commend the department for all your efforts. I think you've done a phenomenal job. That's pretty much all I have.
Thank you.
Greg Leonard.
Ditto what Wendy said. I really have nothing to say, but gotta love technology. It was great to see everybody.
Mike Bishop.
Nothing new to add on my part, just good work, team. Thank you.
And Chairman Mike Moore.
No, I said my piece. So with that, I want to thank everybody for being here today. We will be virtual next month again in June. I expect, well, we don't have a meeting typically in July, if I'm not correct. So we come back in August after that, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, so June will be virtual again, and then we will hopefully see everybody live in August. Well, we're adjourned. Take care.
All right, see you guys.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Be safe.